Hey Belinda, good morning from me and happy Friday.
Hey, Reed, how are you?
Doing very well. I'm enjoying the tail end of the holidays. How about you?
Me too. Me too. I took it kind of easy. Normally, I put in very long hours, but I had very short hours over the holidays. But I am excited next week to get my hands dirty again and get going.
Back to your regular schedule, yeah.
I am because
Um,
I there's so many cool things I want to do now. I'm just like all hyped up. I need to get in there and do that. So.
is there anything particular you're working on that's been extra fun or interesting to do or?
Yeah. We deliver, working at iLink, iLink Digital, I do a lot of the in a day sessions. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is there is a new in a day coming out in February called Chat with Your Data. So
Nice.
I've already gone through training on that. That's a lot of fun. And so I'll even talk about that a little bit more when we get into our subject for today. So that's something that I'm super excited about. And I've been going in my head. I'm like, okay, I need to pick an avenue. My core focus is and has been and still will continue to be end user consumption of data. But I want to have a side road too, and I've been trying to decide real world AI or uh, data science, and I think I have
Mm,
finally settled on data science. And so I sent
nice.
my two bosses an email before I didn't put in data science. I'm like, okay, which road should I go down, AI or real time? And they each answered differently. And so I'm like, okay, thank you for answering, but no help when you split it evenly. So, but I think data science is something that I'm quite fascinated by, and I fell in love with math when I was in college, and I was always pretty good at it, but in a statistic class, I fell in love with it because it made math make sense. I'm like, that's why algebra is the way it is. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
cool.
probably a good thing for me. Yeah, yeah.
Well, anything that can get you like really excited or reinvigorated about something, in the middle of a career is always a nice to have, right?
Yeah, and it's a fun time. I mean, I don't know how I'm definitely on the downhill slide of my career as far as years, but it's an exciting time to be here, and I have no plans of stopping anytime soon because it's everything is just so exciting.
Oh yeah, like the amount of innovation and stuff that happening is it's rapidly changing for sure, but it makes it a
Mhm.
lot of fun to explore new topics and everything, things to learn or stuff to specialize in.
That's for sure, and that's why everyone needs like learning buddies, which I didn't mean to fold back into today's topic so quickly, but
Exactly.
but that's why it's needed because it's like drinking from a fire hose. Otherwise, I mean, just because you focus on one particular area doesn't mean that you have to give up. That you can give up focus or obtaining new information as you go along. So, because you're going to find you'll be using those SQL tables that are out there now. So you need to know about
Yep.
those, and you need to know about Python so that you could write notebooks to do things. So yeah, it's bigger and it's a lot more fun. I don't know how people join the industry now. I mean, I got in technology in 1989, and it was a completely different world. My first computer had no hard drive, and it had two floppy drives. One where you put in the 3 1/4 inch disk for the software, and the other where you put in a 3 1/4 inch disk for the data. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it would have had a 5.5 floppy as well too, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, 5 1/2, not 3 1/4. Oh, 3 1/4. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
five and
the
a
the
half. It was
actual
before.
floppy. Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
actual,
Where
yeah,
the
the one
term
that
came
you
from.
could
Yeah,
bounce. Yeah, you could do that
yeah.
with your
You could
grandpa.
wiggle it.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. Yep. It's been a long road. I mean, my watch is more powerful now than my first computer was. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. I
It
think
is.
before coming to the actual topic of the day and landing there, let's do a short introduction if you can as well for those tuning in now or watching later, and start from there and then segue into the topical topic of the day after that.
Yeah. Okay. So, hi, everyone. I'm Belinda Allen. I am a Fabric and Power BI MVP and Microsoft certified trainer as well. So, I've been in technology, I mentioned, a long time. I started my career. Actually, I started my career like a bookkeeper liaison between the CPA and clients. And then my husband and I, we had our own business and we picked up working with Great Plains software, which is now Microsoft Dynamics GP.
Yep.
We picked that up in 1990, 91, somewhere in there, and we became implementers of that. And so we were in that business for a long time. That's how we came to be Microsoft partners when Microsoft purchased Great Plains. And the first 5 years of being in the MVP, I've been an MVP for 14 years, was on Dynamics GP. And so I was part of Power BI when it wasn't Power BI, when it was some SharePoint creature.
Yep.
And so, it was just so fascinating to me. I've always been someone who liked to visualize data for our customers. And so reports were kind of my thing. I did a lot of Crystal reports when Crystal first came out. I shouldn't have said that because it really ages me. But I did a lot of Crystal reports, and I was really interested in that, the visual report. And I did a lot of financial statement building. So it was just a natural progression for me to move on to Power BI, which is where I am now. And when I joined iLink Digital 2 years ago, we had our own business for many, many years. And we sold our business, and I went to work for the company and did a contract with the company who bought our Great Plains business. And my husband quasi-retired. Then I joined iLink, which has been another turn, very interesting, because Great Plains, or GP, was the SMB market, the small to mid-sized market. And iLink Digital is enterprise. So it has been like a whole new fun experience working with enterprise companies. That has just been incredibly rewarding, very fascinating, and I'm excited about what I do. So that's a good thing. So
small problems that can be small problems that can be smaller, non-existent at smaller companies can be very apparent in bigger companies when it comes to scale and size, or even just like data siloing and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The size of the data is a big thing. But one of the things that's really nice about working with enterprises, there's usually a subject matter expert on the data source and the data, so that you're not having to go in and dig and find what you're looking for, which is something I had to do a lot of. And as up until I joined iLink, I was even doing some things for Business Central Dynamics BC customers. And, I was having to dig to find the data that I was looking for, because I was working with a lot of partners. But this is fun and exciting for me when I go in and to a company whose brand I know and I've used, and now I'm sitting there with them and digging in their data and learning and exploring and helping them make their data better for them and make them understand their data better. It's been incredibly rewarding and something that I've thoroughly enjoyed doing. So that's just a little bit about me. I live in South Carolina, in a very tiny town, which is funny. Actually, it's a teeny town. I wouldn't even say it's tiny. It's much smaller than that. The whole population of the town is a third of the population of the building I lived in New York City. And I lived in New York for 18 years. So it's a whole different way of life down here. But at least I'm warm in South Carolina.
That's true.
Good weather. Yeah. Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. So, and my biggest hobby, I love hobbies, is I love learning. So that is something that is definitely true of me and definitely necessary in today's world. So for technology particular, like my favorite Christmas gift this year was basically learning I'm going to say a skill, but it's really more of a craft. Every week I get something new to try and experiment with and play with, because I have a lot of hobbies, and so that should be fun.
And I think that's a good segue into also the topic of the day. Your passion for learning. So what will we be getting into and digging into?
Well, so one of the things that as I talk to people, a lot of people don't know how to learn, and as I talk about that, because that's something I talk about a lot when I'm doing presentations, that, I love learning. My favorite hobby is hobbies. And so, how do you start learning some of this, and where do you get in and start learning some of it? And so I'm involved in quite a few, 3 different communities, 4 if you include SQL Saturday communities. And I'm pretty deeply involved in them. So I get asked a lot about how to join some of the communities that I'm a part of. Like the biggest one we'll talk about today is this SML crew that you see on my background here. And this is a group that we started out small. A lot of people now are asking when they see us say something like hashtag SML, they're like, I'm seeing that. What is that? And so how do I get involved in that? And so that's so important, because you can't learn all of this on your own. You could try, but you can't. Even if you're just needing people behind you asking questions that make you think of more questions in your head that you have to go and research yourself. You need that, because this is so big, especially now that AI is coming in. And where does AI fit in our world? And how do we stay relevant in the job industry, in the job market, and stay relevant in the workforce? That's huge. So these are all the things that we need to do. We need to never stop learning. I mean, that's a way of life anyhow, but I always said that when I retired, I would be like the oldest graduate. You can go to college for free. I'd be the oldest student in some obscure course, So how to distinguish monkey prints from each other. I don't know, just something weird. That would be me. And I would probably find it utterly fascinating too, the whole time I took it. So, but yeah, that's a thing. And so that's one of the things that I would love to share with you and everybody out there about different groups who can join, different communities you could be a part of. And so starting with the SML group, our foundation in that really came from the infamous Guy in a Cube, Adam Saxton and Patrick LeBlanc. That's where it all originated, from those two. And if you're not watching those two, and now Martha, you should. That is a great thing that they do for us. It's supposed to come back. They took a couple months off, supposed to be back this year. So I don't know if they're on tomorrow or not, but every Saturday, Eastern time, 10:30 to 11:30. Great show. Anyone could ask questions in the first half hour. In the second half hour, you do have to be a member, but you could be a member for like $1.99 a month or something absurdly cheap like that, less than $5 a month. And then that you could be assured to get your questions answered, because if you're a member, you could also submit your questions ahead of time, and they will take those first. So that way you're assured to get questions answered. So that is where it all started, in the SML tag. SML actually stands for Saturday Morning Learning. And one of the people, SML. So it's, and that's all it basically is. Our wonderful and beautiful leader, Jessica Jolly, who is an amazing Microsoft certified trainer. She's quite amazing. She's incredibly smart. And she's also someone like me who loves hobbies. She's a quilter. I'm a knitter. So we have fabric in common, if you will. And so she decided that it would be nice if there was a group of them that was chatting in the chat on Guy in a Cube, if they could meet beforehand, before Guy in a Cube, and talk and share knowledge among themselves. And that's how it started. So this is Jessica's group. So she is our leader. The group has taken on a life. She's still our official leader. However, she doesn't even have to show up for it to rock smoothly. So she does a lot of work for it. So I give her tons of credit. This was her beautiful idea. And basically, it just took on a life of its own. And technically, there's about 100, there's a little over 100 members, but there's only about 20 or 25 that are regulars. And we're now at a point where we only want, anyone's welcome to join, but we only want people who are going to show up more often than not. And so showing up at 9:30 East Coast time, US East Coast time on a Saturday morning takes a lot of commitment. And so a lot of people, once they hear that, they're like, no, I'm not interested. Yeah. And so we will let people try it out for like a month first to see, before they become an official member, to see if they want to continue on. And so
it's one of the reasons it's always been hard for me to join Adams and Patrick's room, because it's 7:30 a.m. my time in Seattle, and it's like every once in a while I've like been up and maybe tuned in, but I'm usually still asleep at that time.
Yeah, we actually have in SML, we have a couple people who are on Pacific time. They get up at 6:30 for our meeting and then hang on for Adam and Patrick. And so kudos to them, because, you know, and I don't even know how they do it, because I frequently, the SML crew knows all my pajamas, because I show up in pajamas, coffee, and bedhead. And so it's incredible, the ones that end up doing that. But it's a great group of people, and it's we never forget our focus, which is to learn from each other and to share with each other. It's not just about learning, it's about sharing and helping somebody else learn and helping somebody else move along. Actually, if we could, can you go to share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, for Fernando, by the way, just wants to know if he's still considered a regular or not. For SML.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're still yeah. He is. I almost called you out. I meant to call you out first, Fernando, because you're always saying that that we're forgetting you. Fernando's actually from Mexico, so he joins us regularly, and nice. We love it when he shares, because everyone has these wonderful gifts, and Fernando's gift is he can build incredibly beautiful, visually beautiful and easy to read reports in Power BI. He has a real flair for that. I always say my reports are ugly. They're ugly babies. They got good information, but they're ugly babies. His are stunning. So every now and then we're like, show us that report. Show us something new. But this is our webpage, smlcrew.com. So we encourage anyone to join who's interested. This is something we just started this year. It talks about us being learners and believing in community, and the fact that we are curious and we welcome diversity, and we not only have grown to love Power BI, but we have become a very close-knit family. In fact, at the top, we have our a gallery at the top, but there's a gallery at the top. This is Kevin Arnold. Actually, Kevin and I, because we get into, I don't want to say fights, but everyone on SML will call it fights, because we get into bickering, and then they always say mom and dad are fighting again. This is the wonderful Sheila Hart, wicked smart lady. Love her. They're all from Texas. Sheila and Kevin are from Dallas, and then this is Chewy Varela. He's from Houston, and Chewy now works with Sheila. So here they are at the Austin user group. I wanted to show you in one of these. Up here, there's the guys in the cube with Jen Kuntz and Mark Walter. Mark is like our DAX guy. As a matter of fact, we're so into learning and sharing with each other. Mark actually runs some DAX courses once a week with us, most weeks, and we join in. We laugh because we try to go through the Dax Bible by Marco and Alberto, and we got stuck on chapter 5, and so we joke. There's a running joke about getting past chapter 5. But look who popped in to our SML picture at the MVP summit a couple years ago. So these are the MVPs that came in since then. Christine, the wonderful Christina Ferris, Chris Wagner, the Kratos God. Jen was a GP MVP. They offered to put her in Power BI, but she says she doesn't do enough, so she backed out. Matthias, I'm not even going to try Matthias's last name. And then
it's like Helkier, I think, is the closest I can get to it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And then Kristen Engel, and then the wonderful Reed Havens popped in here. But this is like our SML team, and I noticed that back there. So, but yeah, it's we've grown a lot of MVPs since then. So Christina and I believe Matthias, I know Kristen Engel, Kevin Hart, not Kevin Hart, that would be his circle. Kevin Arnold, Sue Bays from London, those people, James Bartlett as well. Those are all people who become MVPs as part of their growth with SML. Not that we're trying to turn anyone over, but it's just the kind of personality that would meet every Saturday morning is the same personality that would become an MVP. Rishi Sapra from the UK, he joins in when he can. It's in the afternoon for him on a Saturday, and he has small children. So a lot of people, I give them credit. We ask them if they're interested in joining, but their commitment to their family is important. And so we say bravo. A lot of us are empty nesters and or have no children. So this is where we stand. But it's an amazing group. Also in here as well, we've started a blog recently, like Here's Storytelling by Mark Walter, and Deneb by Christopher Eric. I'm not going to try his. Sorry, Christopher. So we're starting to do this blog. Christina Lanham, she's up in the South Dakota area. Kevin Arda. We're starting to create a blog. We're new at it. Our blog people, the admins for our blog, are Kevin Arnold and Jen Kuntz. So we have quite a category from there. But we have, you could see we are everywhere. There's Sue Bays, the wonderful Sue Bays. I think that was at Sequel Bits. We attend a lot of events together. Oh, there I am with Wilson. Wilson Mann. He's pretty amazing. And then, another MVP, Deborah Jones. She is also with me and 3 other women, the lead for the Power BI Women's Group. Mm-hmm. But we hang out a lot. You can see we have matching shirts. There's Iona. This is one of our shirts. It became like the shirt to have for the 10th birthday for Power BI. And so Mark got a sweatshirt on it. So basically, we're kind of like all over the place. Lenore Flower, amazing person there. Although at the Atlanta event, since we all had on these shirts, it was funny. People thought we worked there. We got more questions about where's the restroom than anything else. The structure that we take when we do this is our meetings are very, very different. They started out formal, where we did like book clubs and we would go through books and learn together. I frequently ask guests to join in. We've had like one of my favorite guests was Marco Russo. He joined in, and instead of learning from him, we just wanted to get to know him better. So we were asking him all kinds of personal questions, like, do you have children and what do they do? And so that was a lot of fun. Will Thompson joined in when Fabric was actually announced. We record our sessions. I got everyone's permission who was there to send it to Arun Ulog. And so he could be a fly on the wall and listen to what people were having to say unfiltered. So so that was kind of fun, and he was super excited. And he shared it around the Microsoft office with that. But we've become very close. So now we've even got to the point where we're not doing books much anymore. But frequently, we'll just show up on Saturday and somebody will ask a question, and it takes us a whole hour to get through the question usually. And so,
good question.
I mean, we just kind of go through it. I've learned with them that really and truly, there's no such thing as a stupid question, because everybody has a different opinion on it. Of late, I've been mulling in my head, do we really want to put fact and dim in front of the table names? Oh, I'm curious. What do you think about that?
For table names specifically, what was the question?
Do you want dim and fact in front of the table name? Like dim this and fact that?
So these days, I'm actually in support of that. I used to be more of like business nomenclature. I think like when Power BI came out in 2015, the idea of like relational databases and a fact and a dim, I think was a lot more like that's technical and complex. I now use it these days. I use just dim and fact in front of it. And I'm more on the side of, I think it's better to educate them. Just this means a lookup table. This means a data table. But I used to use other friendlier terms. Like I think I did L for lookup and like D for data or something like that, D period, to still separate them. But I prefer more education these days. Curious what you think.
I came in firmly against using them at all. I wanted the table names user friendly. Remember, my focus is on the consumers, the very end users.
Exactly.
And I do a lot of training on those now, especially as we're taking a lot of people off of Tableau and, how do you build reports? Now AI coming out. We had 2 Saturdays where this was the topic for 2 Saturdays. And nice. I'm gonna write a blog on what I ended up with. I want to ask more people. They had me almost on the edge of saying, okay, I accept dim and fact. And I backed off. I backed off. I backed off of it entirely, because if I think about the consumers aren't going to need to understand. If you model the data properly and you hide the fields that they shouldn't be using, then it should just make sense that sales is in the sales table and customer information is in the customer table. So if I want to see customers from a certain state, I go to the customer table because it's a customer state. If I want to know discounts that were given, I go to the sales table because it's part of the invoice, or the invoicing table, whatever you want to call it. And then I think anybody who's doing data modeling should know by looking at it. I mean, if you can't tell, you should be able to look at the model mode and see it that way. Now, we were pretty split in SML. Yeah. Dan Messier who works with Mike Carlo, he was adamant about it. He was like, it helps AI. And he's the one that had me right on the edge. And then I'm like, I don't think AI needs it. I think AI understands the dimension and fact tables. But these are the kinds of things that we sink our teeth into and we tear apart. And the use cases of certain things and blog posts that come out. Why would we use it? How do we use it? One of the amazing thing about this group is if I have a new topic or a new presentation I want to give, or they have one, we'll ask, I'm like, hey, Tuesday night, I'm going to do this. Is anyone interested? Here's the link, to come and help me make it better. So we use each other as guinea pigs. I've done the Fabric Analyst in a Day session, my own version of it for everybody when Fabric first came out. I hope to do, I've already asked them, and I've got some people who said they're willing to be guinea pigs to do the chat with your data. So we're going to do that as well. So we try to learn from each other. That there's an awful lot of mentoring that goes on with some of the younger people, which is really wonderful and amazing to see. I've been known, especially I did this for, I had 2 sessions at a SQL Saturday in St. Louis, and I grabbed SML people up, especially for one of them, which I needed 2 people. So I got Kevin Arnold, and then I invited someone who is speaking more and more lately, just to give him another speaking opportunity. And then for another one, I grabbed someone who is also speaking more and more to give him more speaking opportunity. And but we just kind of like say, okay, make it like SML. And it just becomes very natural and very flowing then. So we support each other a lot in that particular method. But I recommend, first of all, that everyone find a group like this. Maybe it is simply the guy in the cube, and that's your group. And that's wonderful if it is. But, if you could find a group, if you're interested in commitment, I mean, we even have WhatsApp going. So like we communicate with each other all the time.
That's good.
It's like, it's kind of like going to the water fountain, working from home, and I could see what everybody has going on. You could ask questions of each other. Nobody picks on you for asking something that is seemingly a stupid question. It was this group. Oh God, I guess it was early on. So maybe about 4 years ago that I asked the question, what is the difference between implicit and explicit measure? And when they told me, I'm like, oh, well, I already do that. I just didn't know it was called implicit measure versus explicit measure. So I didn't, and now I just tell people that, I'm very open with questions I have because I come from a slightly different background, but amazing group of people. So you should get involved in this. You should get involved in this SQL Saturday events wherever you are as an attendee. Take advantage of those cheap pre-con classes. I did in Atlanta with Reed. I'm like, hey, I would gladly pay $150 to spend the day listening to what Reed has to say in Atlanta. So I attended one of his sessions and I got stuff out of it. It was quite wonderful, actually.
Funny context on that is like that was at the Data Saturday that was a couple of years back. I will also be doing a pre-con in Atlanta with Steve, who's in the chat at FabCon. That will be next year or in like 3 months.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Take advantage of those pre-con sessions. They are so worth it. I'll be moderating for the Data Witches, Shannon Lindsay and my wonderful friend, Stephanie Bruno. Well, they're both my wonderful friends. I'm lucky to have them as friends. So I'm excited about doing that. Mike Carlo and I moderated 1 year together, and we probably should have not sat next to each other because we had to develop a code. This was the code to shut the other one up. Shut up. And so that was basically, we were kind of teasing each other about that. But yeah, it was get involved in some of those. Another avenue for the women who are on the call is in Meetup Power BI Women. I already showed you a picture of Deborah Jones. We have other people as well, Jackie Chiatti, Letitia Krause, and Kelly Kay. So
Kelly is one of my favorite people. I love Kelly.
Sorry, I don't know if that muted. My phone went off.
I can still hear you. Yeah, you're headset.
Good. Okay, so this is another group that is just for women, and we meet remotely. So I encourage all of the women to join this. I am currently running 2 different book clubs with the women, the Power BI women right now. The reason that we have made this for women only is because especially for certain cultures, women aren't comfortable speaking up when men are present. And so we keep this. I mean, I was someone who said, I don't care if we let men join or not. 1 year we did a virtual conference, and we let anybody come, but it was all women who were speaking. But but I did a training class for free for the women in Power BI, a PL 300 course. And one of the women said, since this is a safe space, and she showed us something, and she had a very quiet voice, I realized then, oh yeah, we can't, unfortunately, we can't let men in, but we have an amazing group here. But find your group, find your people, and
And there's a
join
lot
up.
of different locations for it these days too. So I would say, like, there's Slack communities. There, you said WhatsApp. I found that more and more Discord is becoming a really popular option as well too, because that's free essentially for like a server. So or just standard community forums that are online. But there's plenty of places to go looking, and or creating your own, honestly too. If you're trying to stand one up, so it's many opportunities.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, standing them up. In fact, meetup, if you're going to have a group that is about learning and you're not going to charge anybody anything, you can apply to get a free meetup account just for that group, so that you can manage just that group. But yeah, so we're doing the slow path, but we're doing a Python book to learn Python. And then we're also doing Gil Raviv's book on Power Query. And so we started with the Power Query book, and then I said, I want to learn Python. And then so now we've got two of us, and it's a really small group, but we become super close. And so there's lots of opportunities, as Reed was saying, especially in the in Microsoft community itself. You should be able to find a group that fits maybe in your community, so you can go to some of the events live. Maybe you just want to do some of them remotely. You don't have to stick with just your area. Kevin Arnold has a great group in Dallas. And so they have someone good come in to speak, and I can't remember who it is. Just next week. I think it's Patrick LeBlanc, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. It's going to be online, I believe, even though Patrick now lives in Dallas. But yeah, so check it out. Go to Meetup, look things up. Go to the Microsoft communities, look things up. At FabCon, if you're going to FabCon in Atlanta, the Atlanta SQL Saturday group will be there. And so there's going to be right after. And that's a great one. The Atlanta chapter, Shabnam Watson and Damu. Sorry, Damu. I can't think of your last name off the top of my head, but they manage it, and they do an amazing job. They're so wonderful. And so that's a great one to attend. And often, again, there's a lot of good pre-con classes. I attended the day after Dashboard in a Day with Patrick, and one time with Patrick and Jason Himmelstein. And then was there another one I attended? I don't know. Opposite yours, my husband was sitting in Patrick and Alex Powers wasn't Dashboard in a Day, but it was something like that, while I was sitting in your session. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff that you can go to. And the SQL Saturdays are free, so why wouldn't you want to go? I mean, you do have to pay to get there and stay, but why wouldn't you want to go? So, and the SML crew, we've kind of dubbed the Atlanta SQL Saturday as our official annual meetup. We have a pretty good volume of people that show up across the United States for that one. So
Fernando has the day after Dashboard in a Day, I think was what the name of Alex's. I really like the title of that, because I mean, it reminds me of the movie, like it was The Day After Tomorrow or something like that. But I think that's a very clever follow-up to, like, all right, so you've already done this. Like, well, what would the follow-up to this be? That's a very good title.
Yes, it was. And actually, one time, come to think of it, it was in Atlanta. I attended. Alex Powers had a data factory in a day of content that he created along with Sean Sorry, Sean, who works for Microsoft, who lives in Atlanta, who is an amazing pipeline guy. I can't think of your last name either, but that was an awesome class. That was so good. Just we had like our own little section there for SML. Jessica Jolly was there. Sheila Hart. I showed you her picture earlier. Chewy, he was there. We had our own little group. So yeah, that was another amazing one. I keep thinking about that. I wish I could go back and re-listen to everything that Sean did in pipelines, because he was doing things in some really interesting ways, and I would love to go through that again. So hopefully if he's out there listening, he'll do that. But we can't underestimate the importance of learning this, learning all the changes. It's a fire hydrant coming at us, whether we like it or not. You can't learn it and be done with it. I mean, it's forever changing, and AI is forever changing it as well. I mean, there's so many different versions of AI. There's so many different co-pilots. Yeah, it just, yeah.
Not all co-pilots are the same.
No, and then licensing. Oh, I just kind of hang up on licensing. So, yeah, it's crazy. So I should probably select a different row of pictures for here we are in Jacksonville SQL Saturday too. We go to that one as well. Yeah. Here's our Atlanta group. Donald is like our librarian, Donald Parrish. You probably see his name a lot showing up in things, but
pretty sure he was in the chat here earlier.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He if I say star schema, he'll probably appear. He is our official Kimball guy, and he is all about that. And I love giving him grief because he is an engineer by training, by education, and so I love telling him I'm an engineer, and he's like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'm a data engineer." So,
yeah, see, yeah. Sure he is. He's like, I'm here on Kimball or Ross. Yep.
Yes, he is. And so, as a matter of fact, I went to him recently to ask him questions about. I told you I was interested in picking up data science. So I asked him, I'm like, who should I follow? What should I do? So I knew he would be my source for that as well. So, and then there's Rich Brooks. I'm trying to call out people. There's Jack Irby from a Vineyard. Amazing guy.
So it's Opus Wineries. Yeah. He's been quite a few of my streams. Yeah. It's there's certain, I feel like working with data is fun. But every once in a while, like you get a cool data set where it's like, all right, like it's fun to build a report, but also like this is just fun data to work with. Like I hope that there's a little bit of enjoyment on being able to like actually work with like wine stats and you know what region drinks more Merlots versus like like that to me is a little bit more fascinating than just I sold lumber at Lowe's and I just want to know if my prices are up this year. Yeah. So like it's cool every once in a while to get to meet someone who to me is like, oh, that's an extra interesting data set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very cool stuff. I'm fascinated just asking people, like that's one of my favorite things to do is like, what kind of data do you track? I mean, because when you start dealing with so many different people, like I did, I helped build some Power BI reports before I joined iLink with a governmental group that was all about addiction. And so it was fascinating, particular for opioid addiction. And so I was just fascinated learning about some of their data sets and some of the things they do. And many years ago, I had a propane gas company, and talking to them, I was building some crystal reports for them. This was pre-Power BI days. And every customer of ours in the ERP system would say, oh, we're different because of whatever. And when they told me we're different because our inventory is in a pipeline somewhere between California or Texas and here. And I'm like, okay, that is different. Yeah. When you got to track where your propane is, and in the pipeline, that one's pretty fascinating. Or when you have to track if you're ordering product from Japan, where is it on the seas and where is it in when it gets here and it starts going through customs. Some of that's pretty interesting as well. What's the most fascinating data set that you've seen?
Yeah, just as you were saying this, and it's fascinating, but also I was a little sad too. Is years ago, back when I was with my last consulting company before I went independent, I did training with the UN in New York, and like it was with their mission data, which included like people like casualties lost, and there was like, oh, it's the first time I've ever had to deal with like death that was like literally tracked as a number on a page. But it was fascinating because it's like that is information you do need to know, but like it's it was just a very unique experience of like, oh, this is a new for me for that. It's usually like the number of M&Ms sold or something a little less tangibly real in the real world versus profit. But they needed the reporting done, and oddly enough, everything was in CSV files still. Like it was like you're like a $5 billion nonprofit. You don't even have a database.
Right. Yeah. It's incredible
Mm-hmm.
how often that comes in play where you start seeing some files like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have several hospitals we work with, and on one of them, I was working on a report that we were actually doing training. And so I had a fake report that I was mimicking one of theirs, and it was all about stroke victims. And you're like, oh, stroke victims. Oh, you start thinking about these are real people. And these aren't just numbers, that's kind of sad. Someone asked me recently about, at one of the events, like some of the perks we get from customers, fun things we get to do. And they asked me what was the most unusual perk I got. And I thought, and I'm like, oh, I got to hold a human heart. And everyone kind of freaked out at the table. But, yeah, one of my customers trained interventional surgeons, and they took me to interventional cardiovascular surgeons, and they took me to their big conference. And one of the exhibits they had in the expo hall was all these hearts from people that died of different diseases. And since I wasn't a doctor, they gave me a healthy heart to hold, but I got to hold a heart in my hand. And the most unbelievable, but the most common question I get asked when I tell that story is, was it a live person? And I'm like, no. They're not going to give me someone's. Yeah, I was in the surgery holding their heart. No, it was not a live person's heart. But
I remember years ago in like elementary school, back when they used to have those like guest companies or presenters, like they would come into the gym or something and set up these little exhibits. I do remember at one point that there was one where I think there was a heart and a bunch of other stuff that was preserved, but it was still like human ones. And it was there was the lungs, healthy smoker there, and then there was a heart, I think, of like a regular or an overweight person, and then they were showing like all the extra fat buildup and stuff like this. But it was like I remember at 8, just like, that's cool, but also like, wow, that's really unhealthy if you do this.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I would love to see that. That would be fascinating. That old saying, youth is wasted on the young. Wouldn't it be fun to go back to school again and like really learn it this time, and see what, if we would have still ended up in technology or not. That would have been right. quite fascinating. But yeah, so I guess the short story is you just have to keep learning, and there's always something new to learn in technology, and AI is definitely making that an important factor for us, for sure. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's. I don't think the narrative hasn't changed on needing to be, to take things at face value. It's just, I think, making it easier to be fed false information sometimes, or incomplete information. I think it hallucinates less now than it used to, but it still sometimes doesn't understand the full picture, which therefore it will give you something that in its own context is accurate, but still maybe isn't telling you the right thing. I've noticed. I'm not in my, because GPT 3.5 used to hallucinate a lot more. Things like Anthropic and others don't do it as much, but they're still bad at holistic context. And, we can have a lot more context in our heads in terms of let's call it tokens or whatever, of a situation that it can before it starts to lose track. And I think that's where the huge problem is with people using it to learn or anything else is like consider all context involved in the answer, and like it might technically do exactly what you ask it to, very literally, but it's not always fully accurate. My just one small anecdote on this, just speaking of AI, is somebody asked for, all right, I'll give me a picture of the middle of the U.S., showing Denver, put a circle on it, and a tag of Denver. So it did that. Denver was in the upper left, and there was a circle, and there was the word Denver with a pin. But that was exactly what they asked. They didn't say put the pin on the spot where Denver is on the map. So it basically just layered three things on top of each other as per instruction. But there was no interpretation. It was very concrete, literal on giving the exact results of that. But they're like, well, no, that's wrong. No, you did ask for this, and that is what it gave you. It's not going to interpret what you say. It's a very literal, like person when it comes to what you're asking. So be careful on how you ask, because it's like, I love that example of like, this was only like a month ago, and like it's a good context on what you ask for is what you get. So please be careful on what you ask for, or understand the question that you're delivering for that.
I did something on a prompt that I read, and I can't decide if it's brilliant or if it is crazy, because I added to my prompt, feel free to ask me questions. And now everything I put in ChatGPT, it asked me more questions. And that's a good thing. But sometimes I have to say, stop asking questions and just do it, please. And because it just keeps on and on and on and on. And like, I don't want to have a conversation. I just want a list, right? So, one interesting thing, vibe coding is something that I'm quite interested in doing. And the interesting thing to me on vibe coding is still you have to have that strong database knowledge. You still have to understand how your database should work and some of the other aspects of it, or you're going to probably end up with something that is very messy and looks like you didn't know how to code in the first place. But if you understand that, some of the things you can do is amazing. So my husband's been really into vibe coding lately, and he has created 2 different versions of a to-do list over the years with different programmers. And once he got to vibe coding, because he had all these notes of exactly what he wanted, literally in just, if you put all his time together, in just a couple of days, he now is like, 10 feet higher than where he was getting people to do it manually. So very powerful.
Yeah, I just want to show you quickly, just speaking of vibe coding. I don't know if you've poked around at all on the any of the external tool that I built, but this is something that's 100% been vibe coded, and I'm releasing a new version soon that will even have like a light mode, a dark mode, a whole bunch of different tools built into the side, and like a pop out navigator. Like all of this has been vibe coded with Claude to build a whole bunch of like Power BI tools. So it is just to give you a context of an AI capability of vibe coding like this. I built a VS Code extension that will automatically like track all your stats for Claude Code, give you little pop-ups and everything. So it's a very transformational tool that can remove mine and pop this up, be able to do some of that stuff. So I've been loving building stuff out of it. Wow. I have this laundry list of ideas. I'm like a huge idea person. Don't have the time to learn 25 languages, but this tool, I think, for people who are creative on like, I know something I want, it gives you an opportunity to build community stuff or even stuff for yourself that can save you time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's amazing. I'm going to play with that. I think.
Yeah, give it like a week or two, and I will be releasing a brand new version that has all the new UI stuff. So it's almost done and coming out, including a new version of Steve's hot swap connector. I have a new version that will work and be able to swap around and have presets. So if you have like a composite model with 8 connections, you can have a one-click button that can immediately change from dev, test, prod environments or local, like with a click. If you want to have a report, auto connect between all those things.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that will be amazing. Yeah, we've been in the SML group. We've been playing around with some of those and trying to test some of them out. But yeah, I would love to see that because you know the more automated you can make some of that, there's so much repeatable stuff you do for every report,
Mhm.
regardless of the data itself. So, and to do it manually is so cumbersome. So
That's
yeah.
pretty much everything that I built. Is I got annoyed with having to move pages between workbooks with bookmarks. So I built a tool that you click a button, it will copy a page over to other reports files that has the same model connection with the bookmarks, with pop-ups. Like, it's basically one-click things that annoyed me because it would take me 30 minutes to do it. So I continually build these automators to help people with that stuff.
Wow. And so I wonder, what do you think this is going to do? This kind of vibe coding. What do you think it's going to do to a lot of software itself? Are they just going to make connections for it? Are there going to be more markets like App Source where people are selling them? Or is GitHub going to go crazy with people giving it away? Or what do you think is going to happen with that?
And I think this was also just a good question just to pop up for Fernando why we talk about this. Is, are we going to forget how to do basic stuff with AI, kind of like the calculator? So, I mean, I would even argue, to go to this and then to go to your question, like the calculator ish, but like in statistics, if you take the class, you learn how to do the formula by itself, and then you use the calculator. I
Mm-hmm.
would argue similar with some of these AI things that you should have, and like, yes, it can automate it along the way, but I also, in every time it codes for me, I ask it to like, if I have time, like, can you summarize what you did? And like, I had to prompt you 5 different times for you to fix this. Why did you keep having an issue? Oh, it's because I used this library and I should have used this package instead. I
Mm-hmm.
think we're going to get a resurgence of community tools that are going to come up, like the one that I'm building. I still think there's a gap between that and like what should be sold or what would be actually like turned into a like a product. I think there's going to be a lot more people who will have like VBA type stuff where I created a button to do a thing that I need for my job, and I can now use AI to build this. But like there is still issues on quality. If you have a tool that has or let's just like a enterprise software, like I don't. I'm guessing on something like Tabular Editor 3, but I'm assuming there's got to be hundreds of inherent and composition files to do all these little components of it, and a tool could not build something nearly that crazy complex and vetted and well designed. Like, yeah, you can build closer to a house of cards stuff or maybe something in between. But I think proper sellable products should probably be audited by a person who actually understands the language, with a lot of these things, just because there's potential security issues or performance. Like, there are all these little things that go into the design of that. So my hope is we get like a version 2.0 of VBA type stuff, where back in the day everybody used to make their own VBA scripts to have a button for stuff they wanted to do for their job. This is kind of, I think, helping with a lot of that for developers that know that they want to like remove this 30-minute task every week and have a tool that can just repeat a process for them. So for job specific things or industry specific, I think a lot of plugins and little stuff like that are just going to be free will come up. I don't know how much that will eat into the market for paid products, but hopefully, if anything, it's competition breeds innovation, right? So it's you just encourages companies that make a tangible product to just continue to innovate, and they hopefully would do fine. I'm curious of your thoughts, though.
Well, I'm going back to early years, the early years that with customizations. I'm kind of worried about the security and management of all of these small pieces of code that people are writing on top of things. Like, how do you manage that? How do you ensure security with it? I mean, what is Purview going to be able to go in and look at all the different changes we make and tools we're using as part of our Power BI, or
Yeah.
could they have backdoors left in them as well? Because even though most of us are using AI for good, no doubt the criminals are going to be out there, using
Oh
AI to
yeah.
help. to do things. So I worry about the management of things. Having a more structured approach with everything that, I mean, that was one of the things that made going to the cloud so powerful is, you didn't have to maintain all these different versions of this and that all over the place. It was like, oh, you're going to get it in the cloud and that's what we have. But it seems like we're going back, or we have the potential to go backwards a little bit with all of these different versions of things. And I'm doing it too. So, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but it's kind of interesting how that's taken a bit of a circle to me.
Well, and to your point as well, like there's always going to be the it's not noisy neighbor, but there will be people who will try to use this to inject code and other stuff, and like, but that's also then on companies like Microsoft and others where having malicious software isn't new. That's been around as long as the computer has. And like given an example, actually going through my tool, things that I learned early on from Kurt and a few others is both from a management perspective, but also from a security perspective, composition and inheritance structures where you have smaller files that all have specific roles rather than one file of 50,000 lines of code. Antivirus softwares and others do not like large, giant files of code. They prefer easy, bite-sized things to digest. And I spent a week with mine just working with Claude to like structure it, where I kept using there's a website that can do a free scan and tell you like which antivirus softwares will flag yours, and I went through all of that to like basically get a clear box bill of health for everything, so people could install it as a community tool. So I do think there is a good amount of gatekeeping out there, but you have to be a good instructor. You need to be a good project manager because it's a garbage in, garbage out with a lot of these things. So I think it's a mix of both. You need to be hopefully you're learning along the way a little bit, just asking it what it's doing, explain, okay, you built this thing for me. Give me like a summary of what was built and why, and like what APIs or tools are you using to design this. But I think also just working with it to make sure that whatever you build is in a structure that's either readable or maintainable. Otherwise it just gets messy. And I think as someone was pointing out in the chat there, VBA was written back in the day, but there was a lot of bad VBA written back in the day too. And I'm sure we'll end up with a lot of garbage today on, crappy apps and a bunch of other stuff. But hopefully people kind of vote with their wallets or vote with their installs and reviews and a lot of this stuff to help call out quality stuff versus just the AI slop that's being produced.
Yeah, interesting. I wrote some VBA back in the day when it was Great Plains. Actually, there was a tool where you could write VBA, and I didn't know it. I just used an example they had and edited it, and then I took a VBA course, and then I was like, oh, that's why I'm doing that. And so I kind of have flashbacks to that now with Python in notebooks, because I never bothered learning Python. And I tell this story. This is silly, but it's 100% true. I didn't want to learn Python because I don't like snakes. That was before I realized it was Monty Python, and that would have been different for sure. But so in this book club with the Power BI Women's, like the very first chapter was enough for me to be able to and my other experiences in languages I've learned and in coding that I've done. I was, and I am definitely a citizen developer, not a pro developer. So, but I was able to read it and understand what the Python is doing. And so that made a big difference to me. So just even that whole first chapter of this Learn Python book, along with ChatGPT and Copilot, I'm able to write, what, code that I want, especially because I've learned, I know you could use Spark SQL, but I will go in and say, here's the script I want in T-SQL. How would I make this happen in Python? And I would get it and it would work okay. So yeah.
That's been fun to learn. I mean, like PySpark, Python, a lot of these languages, and even in notebooks, as you meant, like Copilot has a bunch of that. So like it's, I think it's easier to learn new languages too, not even just have it vibe code for you if you just want to learn it. Mike was pointing out that in the chat, he's like with, where was it? It was this one. Yeah, at his work, the quality of SQL that people who could generate with GPT or others as Copilot correlated with their SQL experience. So people who are new to it, it helps them catch up a bit, but they're still experience still shines out at the end. Uh,
Yeah.
I'd add a 2 cent to that just to say I think still a lot of that comes from context or knowing the company, because it's like in a vacuum, often there can be perfect SQL, but depending on where it's ingesting from, where it's having to go to, other factors into the system, all that additional context and knowledge you might have about how this operates is something that's still hard for the LLMs to understand, which is where that experience comes in. Of like someone knows, to apply delay or something in the code that is like, it's not technically right, but I know from experience this will work because of X, Y, and Z factor.
Yeah. There was a high school student who was attending one of those pre-cons I was talking about in Atlanta. They have it at the event at this tech high school. I wish I could have gone to school there. It's a really cool high school. But there was a student in there with us, and he asked me, he was sitting next to me, and he asked me what he should be taking to prepare. He goes, should I just learn this product, Power BI? And I'm like, oh no, at your age, I would start with Python, and then I would learn SQL. In those orders, because I think I absolutely agree with that with that comment. Really and truly, having a SQL foundation is unbelievably helpful with anything that you want to build, and then especially anything when in the world of Fabric. I mean, it's going to take you a long way just understanding that. So huge. Even with KQL, I mean, the ability to put that define and then write your T-SQL, and then you get the KQL script. I was like, when Fabric was first introduced, I'm like, hey, yay, I know T-SQL and I know Power Query, so I feel like I'm in a good position to pick up Fabric, and I felt. And then when I got into pipelines, I realized, oh, wait a minute, the builder is basically the same thing as Power Automate. So yeah, it's like, I got it. And so as a citizen developer, you can definitely have it for sure. But it doesn't, one last thing I think that we all should also learn and keep our skills up at is in project management, because now more than ever with all these additional tools, having good project management is
if anything, I
essential.
think it's encouraging it organically, almost like you are a project manager for any of the AI tools, and then the worse manager you are, the crappier the build they will do, because they need instruction and guidance and oversight.
Yeah. But I hope they're recognizing that. I hope you're right on that, because it's essential. Yeah.
You either recognize it early enough to prevent it, or it eventually shoots you in the foot, and that's when you get the very clear awakening of, oh, okay, I need to revisit how I was doing this. Eventually, they will all learn. It's just like where the process, before production or at production, does the recognition happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
As we're coming up to on time, do you have any final opportunities for people to go check out specific sites or anything else you haven't mentioned for like key takeaways?
Yes. Go to Microsoft Communities. Look that up. Go to SQL Saturday, sqlsaturday.com. Find SQL Saturdays that are close enough for you to drive to even. There's always people who are coming in from out of town. Find where they're staying. There's usually a group that goes out to dinner or does something at night afterwards. Get to know some of those people. Definitely go to Meetup and look for different events or the Microsoft Dynamics communities and attend. So many groups are, even ones that do in-person meetings, they're still doing a certain number of remote meetings. So take advantage of all of those remote opportunities that you could take advantage of for sure. And if you could attend, if you could get your boss to pay your bill to go to FabricCon, the Fabric Conference, another great opportunity. Go to all of the the pre-cons and post-cons that you can. They're totally worth it. And like I said, the SQL Saturday ones, they're only like $150, something like that. That's cheap for a full day of training. And if you're interested in SML, you can go to that smlcrew.com. There is a contact, and you can, we have no gateway, but we do not make someone a member right away, because we don't want Jessica having to manage, hundreds of people that don't show up. So,
sure.
So what we would do is somebody will share an invite with you for a month, and you'll know then if it's going to be something that it's worthwhile of getting up on Saturday mornings. But find your people that want to learn and want to learn with you, and do your thing with them. The Saturday group, my husband literally calls he calls them my support group. And it's a great way to end the week for me and get me excited about the upcoming week. Every time we meet, I have websites and books and all kinds of things that I want to continue learning. But it's exciting. We live in exciting times. So if you continue to enhance your knowledge, you're going to find these times exciting. If you don't, then you're going to feel overwhelmed very, very quickly. And so, it's a great way to recharge your battery. So, yep, go for it.
Well, yeah, it's the, was it Rising Waters Raise All Ships when it comes to community? Yep.
And our little group, we're all different kinds of people. We come from all different kinds of backgrounds. We deliberately do not talk politics with each other. We do take time to create personal relationships with each other. I have to say, not this past year in Atlanta, but the year before. No, this past year. I had a rare skin cancer, and they gave me radiation just for a preventative measure. And I went to SQL Saturday in the middle of that treatment. My husband drove me down there, and the SML group, I didn't realize how tired the radiation had made me. And until they just nurtured me nonstop, drove me around, Kevin, Arnold, Chewy, Sheila, they were all just so loving and nurturing to me. I'll probably start crying thinking about it, but they, it's just like, these are my people, right? They just, we would do anything to support each other. So, and usually that means work, but it doesn't always mean work. And so, find your people, and definitely, you'll come out the leader in it for sure. So.
Well, I like the phrase "chosen family" as well. It's like I get overlap with community and chosen family at that point.
Mm-hmm. And we definitely are. We have the joke. Several of us have different jobs. Jessica is our leader. Kevin and I are mom and dad. Mark is our apparel manager. He's the one who designs all our T-shirts and all of our shirts and organizes that. Jen Kuntz, she is one of our webmasters, along with Kevin, and Jason Romans is like the class cut up. He's on this constantly punching in with the chimes. Fernando, who was the first one about, was he included? He's the Jan Brady of the bunch, like that. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. But yeah, find your people. And let them take you places that you didn't even think about going. You'll end up so much better for it. So yeah, that's what I have to say. It's a new year. This is like our new school year when we were kids. That's what I think of New Year's like, because when you started school, the beginning of the year, you could reinvent yourself because you were gone for 3 months. So you could come back and be anything you want to be. And we have a reset button that just set yesterday. So we can be anybody we want to be. So who do you want to be? And be it.
I like
Take it
that. It's
till
a
you make it.
good looking forward. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate all the information and resources and just conversation you shared on this day. This has been a good talk, good conversation, lots of active chat participation as well from
Okay.
and they likes the the Brady Bunch
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah, that's Donald.
Well, if you bring it to
Uh,
Happy Days, you have to have a jumping the shark reference, of course.
oh yeah, and then I don't know who would be Fonzie in our group. I know who thinks are Fonzie. Chris Wagner. And
There you go.
we always joke about him because when we say something about creating a DAX column, I don't know how he does it. He just appears on the screen if somebody brings it up. So
That would be really funny if he all of a sudden just showed up in the chat when you said that.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah. Somewhere he got like a twinge. So yeah.
He felt his ears burning. Exactly.
Yeah, he probably did. Yeah. 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 So
Perfect.
if you see any of us or anybody wearing an SML shirt at any event, walk up and say hi. You have an instant friend then, right? Just instant friend. So just walk up and say hi. And or just say SML, and we're so excited and so passionate about it, we'll just start yakking your ear off. For sure. Well, thanks, Reed, for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. This has been a blast. Yeah. And I'm assuming I'll see you either at the MVP Summit or FabCon.
Yeah, right now I'm planning to go to both, but there's also an MCT Summit right after MVP Summit. So now the question is, can I fit in, 2 to 3 weeks off in my schedule? So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot of time to have to take off. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you at one of them then at least.
Yeah. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. I'm sure we'll be sponsors again. I know we will
Exactly.
be. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great rest of your Friday. Yeah, thanks everyone, and see you on the next stream. All right, take care.